realization and inner awakening. Through his work as a spiritual mind mentor, Dr. Brown will guide individuals and groups to realign with their true nature, helping them to recreate their lives from the inside out. Now, his passion is to nurture transformation, elevate consciousness, and inspire others to fully embody their divine essence. In this presentation, he's going to dive into what he calls the freedom loop. It's a transformational process that he created to help people reshape their lives by shifting their perspectives. Now, rooted in metaphysics, the freedom loop will show us how our perceptions will create how our perceptives create our perception. So whether it forms your belief, your actions, it's going to help create your experience and ultimately shape your reality, mirroring back to you your own perspectives in a continuous cycle. Now, he says that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. So I want to go ahead without any further ado. I want to bring him up, introduce him to you, and if you would like, you can also find his work at www.fitmindsunited.com. So Dr. Ryan, it is a pleasure to have you here with us tonight.
Hey, great to be here. How are you doing tonight?
I am doing great. Great. I am so glad that we got it together for this evening. I'm really excited to have you here. So I'd like to start out ask you, like I ask everybody, if you can give me a little bit of information about how you got to where you are today and, what some of your driving forces were.
Well, that's a loaded question. We're all here on planet Earth having an experience. And I've always wondered since I was a young kid, as most people that get into this probably often wonder is, who am I? What am I? Where am I? Why am I here? And now that I'm here, what am I supposed to do with it? And, I had those questions really young. I think some people kind of come across those questions maybe later on in life. But I was really young and, I was put in a Catholic preschool and then a Catholic kindergarten and then Catholic grade school. And they're telling me a lot of the answers to these questions. However, it wasn't really aligning with my little kid brain. And I started to rebel and started to kind of, get angry and frustrated because a lot of the questions that I had, the answers that were coming to me, I wasn't resonating with. And that caused a lot of frustration. Now, keep in mind, I'm in first grade, second grade, third grade, and you don't have the language and the intelligence and the emotional capability to really respond in the proper ways. So I found myself getting into a lot of ornery mischief and fights and this and that. And so, they put me on the wrestling team and got me into sports. And I tend to be able to use athletics as a way to really get out that energy. And it helped me for a little while. It was a distraction, if you will. When you're playing sports, you're not thinking about all these questions. And then as I got a little older, those questions started to get louder, and I started to really be what I guess we would call a truth seeker, trying to really uncover and find the truth of who and what and where and why we are. So I started in my undergrad with, kind of getting into a lot of psychology and trying to learn about the mind, because being an athlete, I already learned about the body and how the kinesiology of the body moves. But I always wondered, what makes the body move? Well, of course, it's the mind. So I started studying the mind. But then I started wondering, well, what makes the mind work? And you start learning about consciousness. And then I asked the smartest people I knew, what is consciousness? And nobody could tell me. I mean, everybody has ideas and thoughts, but you can ask the smartest among us, what is consciousness? And we really don't know. So of course, when someone tells me they don't know, that makes me really want to find out. And it's kind of like Dennis the Menace. Don't push that red button. Why? If you don't get the proper answer, you're going to have to push it to find out. And so I've just been on a lifelong journey of this self-discovery and remembrance of who I am. And that's led me to a PhD in metaphysics. And, I like to mention metaphysics. I went to the University of Metaphysical Sciences,
Ah, me too.
Oh, there you go. So I always thought metaphysics was a science-based thing. And it is in a sense. However, it's really a branch of philosophy. And philosophy is one of those things where you're trying to really understand the answers to those big questions we were just talking about. So that's where I'm at. I've come a long way and done a lot of introspection and read a lot of books and met a lot of people and had a lot of neat cosmic conversations of my own yeah, and that's kind of led me all to this place.
Awesome. So, how long have you? I'm assuming you have your own business because it sounds like you're offering services to people. How long have you had that? And when you first started, I have to ask, are you seeing, like, from the time that you started until the time, well, say today, are you seeing that people's perspectives are staying the same? Are they changing? Are they coming in with different ideas? What's been your experience?
So, great question, because I started and founded Fit Minds United in 2009. So it's been a while. I've been on this journey of teaching, metaphysics and things like the law of attraction. Back in 2009, when I was really just getting started with this business, I was introduced to things like The Secret, which a lot of people in this space have understood, things like the law of attraction and all these neat things. But I think that so many people were calling it blasphemy and woo-woo and pseudoscience, and it really confused me because um, you know, living on this planet and understanding what I understood, I realized that there's energy, and energy has a vibration, and vibration is a resonance. And when you give off a certain frequency or certain vibration, a matching like frequency comes back, right? So that's now, metaphysics 101, if you will. So everyone kind of understands that. But rewind all the way back to pre-2012, the law of attraction was still one of these things that was really new age and, like I said, very, very, woo woo and all that kind of stuff. And I'll never forget, I was on a stage speaking to a congregation of people at something called the Gift of Light that we have a couple times a year